So in light of recent events in our world, and because it is Black History Month, Chris and I, on behalf of 700 Club Canada, thought it'd be great to have a conversation about inequality and injustice. And so we're here on location at Salem Church in St. Catharines, Ontario, which was kind of a pivotal part of the Underground Railroad. And of course, in front of Harriet Tubman, who was one of the heroes of that movement to free slaves out of America. And so today we want to talk about the reality that some people think that this is past history. And they don't want to hear it. They don't want to talk about it because that happened so long ago. It's not happening today. And that just isn't true. So how can we talk about it? What can we do today to heal some of the deep wounds?
I think one of the first things is recognizing that this is a sin problem that is pointed towards skin. We often will say, well, this is something that Jesus already dealt with on the cross. It's an individual thing. It's not a systemic thing. And it was then. But there are people who carry those wounds today, every single day of their lives. And so it's a matter of recognizing that this sin runs deep, even if we don't want to acknowledge it. It means that we're willing to actually sit down and have conversations with people, that we're willing to listen more than lecture. We're willing to love more than kind of hold hands away. We're willing to say, maybe that there actually is a problem, and not take that problem personally, not take the criticism personally, but instead be willing to say, how are you doing? And if someone says to you, I'm hurt, that you don't turn them away and say, well, that's a past problem. Deal with your present to improve your future. But say, we can't get to your present and to your future until we actually deal with your past.
Well, and I think that's so awesome. One of the things you've taught me as a friend, and I really appreciated it, is how do we create spaces for inclusion? How do we create spaces? Because I think sometimes we have our little isolated conversations with our own type of people, whatever you want to say, and we solve all the world's problems, but we don't actually have meaningful conversations across all spectrums, whatever is happening. And I think if we could create spaces for people to be invited, that is powerful. And one of the guys who did that, one of your heroes in mine too, is Martin Luther King Jr. What was so special about him?
He was a reluctant leader. If you look at his history, he necessarily didn't want to be the front of a civil rights movement. It just naturally happened to him because he was a voice. He was willing to speak truth to power. He was willing to speak as Jesus did, with grace and with truth. So he would speak with love, but he would also call out injustice. He would be the one who would say, let's come to the table. He was willing to put himself on the line, literally and figuratively speaking, to say there needs to be something different. And we need to be bringing everyone together, as opposed to saying it's just from my echo chamber, from me and my three.
Yeah, and I think what made it a movement was people didn't just hear it, they acted. And I think we need to not just only hear the words of Jesus, we need to act on them. And I think heaven reminds us of this in Revelation 7:9, where it says, after this I looked, and there before me was a great multitude that no one could count, from every nation, tribe, people, and language, standing before the throne and before the Lamb. They were wearing white robes and were holding palm branches in their hands. And of course, palm branches are a symbol of peace and unity and harmony, and that's who we are called to be.
And so the church, we should be the ones who are on the forefront, not in the background, but leading the charge on inclusivity and on unity.